Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever suits your mood. So, I'm back to do some more stuff. Now, on the previous videos, we established two things. First, we established a basic economy system in our game. You can see here. So, we don't have a use for this yet. We'll do this now on this video. But right now we have a counter, a text that tracks how much money we have. And how do we earn more money? By, let me show you actually, by destroying these prefabs that come towards us. Let me actually open up my Visual Script. We have our int variable for our money here. If we scroll down, there, you can see that the money we earn each kill depends on what type of prefab we kill. So 5, 10, 7, and then we add that to our tracker, the text that tracks our money. And then afterwards we created an endless wave system. You can see in our enemy manager, we created a system that endlessly spawn wave after wave of enemies. Now, actually, now that we think about it, I'll postpone what I want to do with our money tracker on the next video. Right now I have another idea. Now, let me show you what I want to do on this video. Actually, let me show on editor. You will see that once we destroy all the enemy prefabs in our scene, the game moves on to the new scene, the next scene, not scene, I meant to say wave. What I'm trying to say is that when the player destroys all enemy objects on our scene, then our game instantly spawns in our next wave. Let me show again. There is absolutely zero cooldown, which I want to add on this video. I want to add a basic cooldown system that can that can hold our enemy manager on pause between waves. I make this more complicated than it is. Let's start with our new variables. So first pilot code cooldown. Actually, next wave cooldown. You may be thinking, 30 seconds is too much for a basic game like this, but on the next video I'll do something that may hopefully justify why our cooldown between waves is 30 seconds. Now we have this, right? On here where we check if there is any enemy objects in our scene, in our hierarchy, we'll add this if, actually not that first, next wave cooldown, time dot that, there it is. Next time, there, next wave cooldown, smaller than 0, then we'll add these in this if statement. Is that right? Yeah, it's right. Let's test this real quick. So if our addition worked, if I destroy all of these prefabs in our scene right now, the game will wait before it spawns in our next wave. So let's see if the game will do that. Yeah, there it is. You can see. Now, currently, going back to our script, our cooldown before our next wave is invisible. What I mean by invisible is that it's working on the backend, so we can't see our cooldown or current cooldown on our screen, on our game view. I want to display our cooldown on the game view, and in order to do that, we'll first start by creating a new what was it called? A new text on our canvas right here. I believe we can add this here in this canvas instead of creating a new canvas. So let's do that. Going to UI text. Now we're gonna call this cooldown. Actually, cooldown in display. Now first we want this deactivated. Why? Because we want our cooldown display to be visible on our game view only when the current wave is finished. It isn't necessary for our cooldown view to be on display with every frame in the game. You just need it to be visible before our next wave. Now let's take a look at this cooldown display's positioning. Let's see if we can make any good differences to it. Right now it's in the middle of our screen. Do we want that? We can put this here. If it looks bad on the later videos, we can just reposition it. It's not a very big issue. So we got this right here, right? Cooldown. There. Now we actually want another one. I want this inside this, there. Now this should be called cooldown display and this should be called cooldown timer. I was gonna use only one text object, but I decided to use two, so that, you know, when our cooldown timer appears with our cooldown display, our player can understand that this is the timer before the next wave spawns. To do that, let's actually change this text. Time before next wave. We need another update here. There. Actually, that's not enough. That's also not enough. Okay. Now we want both of these guys to be invisible for now. Going to our enemy behavior script. Let's make two references to our two cooldown text objects. So we got cooldown display and cooldown timer. Public, not game object. Text mesh. So cooldown display and then public cooldown timer. Let's assign these slots real quick. So our enemy manager is here. Cooldown display goes here and timer goes here. In here we're gonna create a few more if statements. We'll write if cooldown display we see display game objects visit is what was it? Is active. There it is. So false. Why are you giving an error? Okay then. If this is false, then cooldown display is active equals to true. Why? Fuck me. Oh, there it is. Okay. And then we can actually make the second if statement inside the first one. So cooldown timer. We're gonna do the same thing for cooldown timer. Cooldown timer set active, not false, true. Then, now that we have this right here, an if statement that activates both our cooldown display and our cooldown timer. Once our new wave actually spawns, we're gonna put both of these back to false. So cooldown timer game object set active false. We're gonna do that. We're going to do the same thing for our timer. Let's see if this can work. Cool. And then after the cooldown is over, this is gonna go back to deactivate. So it won't be visible. Now the next thing we need to do is create another if statement next to this one. So we're gonna write if cooldown timer is active, true, then cooldown timer text equals to next wave cooldown to string. There it is. Actually, to string? No, that will just show the entire float value. We need to translate this into integer and then translate it into string. But how are we gonna do that? Does this work? So we got int. Oh, there we go. Alright, this goes here and this goes here. Alright. Now let's see if this is gonna work. Let's debug again. Awesome. Now I'm gonna check, just in case, I'm gonna check real quick to see if the next wave is gonna spawn, is actually gonna spawn when our cooldown is over. So quick skip. There. That's very good. Alright, if I'm not missing anything, that's it for today's video. We added a cooldown addition to our endless wave system. And that's all we're gonna do in this video. Then on the next video, we're gonna actually create an usage. That's me. There. On the next video, we're gonna actually create an usage for our money counter right here. We're gonna create a feature that actually allows our player to spend their money. So until then, see you guys later.